Hi, everyone. I'm Scott Harrison, Artistic Director of Ironweed Productions, and I want to welcome you to Talking Theater Live, Conversations with Santa Fe Theater Artists. I'm very honored to have this evening Santa Fe actor Ann Roylance. Ann, thanks so much for joining me. I'm really looking forward to this.
Thank you for calling me an actor. The new generation.
Yes, yeah. That's right. That's right. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, oh, hi, Kirsta. We've got people joining us live. Hi, Matthew. This is the fun part of doing live video, too, is seeing people joining in. For those of you joining us for the first time, Talking Theater Live is a series of conversations between me and Santa Fe theater artists. We talk about their experiences in the theater and also the paths that led them to creating theater in Santa Fe. This and future interviews will be saved on our Ironweed Facebook page in the videos section. So if you're not able to watch it live, this one or future interviews, you can always go. Please like us and follow us on Facebook at Ironweed Productions at Ironweed Santa Fe. And you most recently appeared in the very cool and very successful production of Cabaret, directed by Vaughn Irving at Santa Fe Playhouse.
Yes, I did.
And I want to talk to you about that experience. And just briefly before we do, I just want to give a shout out to the Santa Fe Playhouse. Just the really exciting stuff that they're doing there. I saw Cabaret. It was on an added performance on a Wednesday night because all the entire run had been sold out, and yes. So I saw an added performance on a Wednesday night, which was also packed. And there was just this incredible electricity about the whole production. I mean, before, obviously, during, and after. And then this weekend, I found out that the melodrama is also sold out through the whole run.
Is it really?
I believe so. And so I went to the 10 o'clock show that they have on Saturday night, last Saturday night, and it was packed. And there were all these, lots of young people there, just this great, dynamic, fun energy. So Vaughn Irving, who's the artistic director, Michael Oldham, who's the TD, Jenny Lewis, who's the general manager, Kelly Huertas, the board president, and all the whole team they have over there. They're just doing great things. So if you're visiting Santa Fe, or if you live in Santa Fe and haven't been there yet, please go check out a show at the Santa Fe Playhouse. They actually have upcoming a very cool festival called the City Different Festival. It features new works, plays, full-length, short plays, readings, full productions. It's a very cool event, so go check that out if you can. So, Ann, speaking of Cabaret.
Yes, sir.
Again, I loved the production. It was very daring. It was haunting. Also just very resonant in terms of,
what's happening now. Yeah, exactly.
And I thought I loved, I loved the humor and also the poignancy of your performance and the relationship that you created with Ken Bordner in the story. And I just wanted to see if you could just share with us kind of what that experiences were like working on the play.
It was incredible. We had so much fun, and the kids, we had so many of the Kit Kat Club came from SWAD, and one 16-year-old from NMSA, and I thought, oh, kids, they worked so hard. They were disciplined. They were dedicated. It changed my whole opinion about the younger generation.
Nice.
Those kids worked hard. The little MC, who was incredible.
Oh yeah, he was wonderful.
Yeah. Lee Vignes. I asked him, because he was so active all through the show, and I said, honey, do you work out? I mean, do you, beforehand? And he said, yes, I come at 5. We're not called till 6, right? So he came in at 5 and worked out for an hour before we started. It was just, they were all like that, and I was so in awe of them. They're delightful. Everybody in the show, hard worker, on time, always there, always present and focused.
Nice.
It was an incredible group to work with, really. I mean, from, Vaughn and
Yeah.
Deb Denard, who was, helped us singing-wise. Patrick McDonald, who did this incredible choreography.
Yeah.
I mean, he even made me dance. Can't dance, don't ask me.
Oh gosh, I didn't know you didn't, because that was wonderful. Wow.
No. And our little band,
Oh yeah, it was
valiant.
terrific.
They were valiant.
No, it was just such a like I say, there was just this buzz when you walked into the theater, which was
That's exciting.
Yeah,
we
which
don't
it just
know that.
yeah, it just felt like you were coming to this just event,
It was magic for us as well. You have no idea when you're rehearsing a show and you put it on, what it's going to be like and how the audience is going to receive it. And the first night we did it and came out for the curtain call, they roared. I mean, they actually roared, and we were all kind of stunned, and that continued. We had standing ovations every night, and amazing audiences, just amazing. I know there were people who hadn't been to the Playhouse before who came to this, so that was really nice.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Like, it was seeing the Melodrama. I mean, I just seen a lot of people there, young people that I didn't know or recognize, or just that, the new audience, that the audiences that are coming there, just really, really cool. So
and audiences, I don't think they have any idea, unless they've been in productions or been part of a production, how important they are and what kind of energy they feed to the people on stage. It's huge. It's huge. I've fallen in love with audiences sometimes.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I always find it's fascinating. I tend to kind of like doing kind of 2 or 3 performances of a production to kind of get, because you have that first production and then you're like, every audience is going to be like this audience, and then the next audience like, no. So you kind of get I've got a feel for the range of, which is,
but it takes time to get that range too.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes it can come the second weekend and you go, okay, now I got, because we only do 4 shows a weekend here, usually.
Right.
And it takes time to get used to what's happening.
Right. You kind of get to that point and then you feel like, oh gosh, the show's, the run's over. Did you?
I know. And then you go, okay, now we're ready to open.
I know.
After 3 weeks, right?
I know.
Okay, I've got it now. Now I can. And I'm still thinking of things I could have done. It's a month since we closed. And I'm thinking, I could have done this right there. And that movement could have.
I know.
Did you do that?
Oh,
Does
yeah.
it stay with you like
Yeah,
that?
and I still, and I mean, I think the longer of the time that I have to spend with a play, the less that happens. But I still have that where I finish a production and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what that moment was about. And I wish I could do it again.
Dang, why didn't I think of it?
I know, and it is. I think it's funny because it just seems like there's this certain mindset, this zone that you're in when you're going to play, and then it's like you can never really
step out of it.
Yeah, and when it's done, you're just in a different place, and then 2 or 3 things that you didn't quite connect, or
exactly.
They immediately come to you. Which is why there's been a couple times where, have you ever done there's been a couple times where I've done a production and then come back to it, which is really cool. I mean, have you ever done that where you've performed it for a while and then you come back to it after?
When I was very young, yeah, because my first equity show was musical, was Fiddler on the Roof, and then I did it during the summer at some point, and I was so young I don't remember back that far, but not since I've been older. But that would be neat.
Yeah.
Did you find different things?
Yeah, well, it was fun to be able to return to it and say, oh, now I can do this thing that I discovered after we closed.
Yeah.
But I mean,
and was it a big thing or a little thing?
It was more little things,
Yeah.
but it was fun to have the chance to, and of course then we finished the second time around and there were still things I didn't get that
and
particular
it goes
time.
on. Yeah. What's the longest you've ever played a show?
Well, we did I was in a tour. Kind of my first professional job was in D.C., which is where you grew up, right?
Right outside, yeah.
Yeah. We got an opportunity with this touring company called the National Players at a Catholic university, and this was like 1992. And yeah, it was, and we would do a tour for. It was about for like 9 months, and and they still are in existence. And Jim Petosa, who's out there somewhere, hello Jim, Bill Graham, were their directors, wonderful directors. And there was a Shakespeare play and a contemporary play that we would do, and we would go out for 9 months and do them kind of in rep.
Yeah.
But that was really, that you really learned the thing of, making something fresh after you've been doing it for 6 months, which was a really great learning experience. Now, what's the longest you've done a show?
I think it was my first show, my first professional show.
Fiddle on the Roof?
Yeah, because I came in as an understudy and in the chorus. I was so excited to get my equity card.
Yeah.
I was 22, I think.
Yeah.
And then I took over the role. We became the national company, and I played the role for a year. And then in the summer, went out and did it the Goober Gross circuit with Theodore Bickel.
Gosh, and so do you think, like, the total, how long do you think how many performances do you think you did at that show?
Oh, I don't know, 5,472.
No.
That's what it felt like.
Gosh.
But as you say, keeping it fresh. I mean, I even found in cabaret, there were scenes where I was going, dun, 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 and pay attention, focus here, because you don't always have this. You've got to give it that focus it deserves. But I could feel myself slipping. I'm older. We slip more easily.
Yes. Ann and I are the walking wounded. Actually, I feel that some of you notice I've got a little. I cracked my head on a rock between this last interview and today, so I got stitches right there. Ann is nursing a broken foot, so
we're the lame in the hall.
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, hi, Allison. Hey, Patrick. Fun to see folks joining in. So, Ann, I want to go back, just take it back a little bit and ask, you grew up in Alexandria, Virginia. Do you recall your first memory of when you were kind of drawn in by the magic of make-believe?
Yes. I was in high school, and we were doing Little Women, and at some point, and I don't remember why in the script, but she gets her foot stuck, Amy, my character, gets her foot stuck in a bucket. And I crossed the stage with, dum, 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 dum. The audience laughed, and I went, bing! I can make people laugh. This is so incredible, because it was so shy. I think so many actors are introverted, at least at the beginning. And to have something to do and to have someone's words to say, because, when you're shy, you're not very articulate. I'm still not very articulate. But it was that magical moment. And then I went into college and was doing plays in college, and one of my professors said, I hope you do this professionally.
Oh, gosh.
And I went, oh, all right. So went to New York.
Oh, so you went to New York after that?
Yeah,
Wow.
right after I graduated.
Now, what was that like? Being a young person and what
it was like, you remember how Mary Tyler Moore started?
Yeah.
You can turn the world on with a smile, and she throws her hat up. I threw my hat up once.
Nice.
Yes,
Wow.
It was like, I'm in the big city.
Yeah, that must have been so exciting.
It was.
Now, did you live in Manhattan when you first moved here?
Yeah, I did.
Whereabouts? Where'd you live?
Where was I? I was somewhere in the 40s, I think. Yeah, probably Hell's Kitchen. I don't know. No, the 50s. The first time was the 50s.
Yeah. How long were you in New York?
6 years on and off, but I kept traveling.
You did, yeah.
Yeah, I got Fiddler and went out on the road for a long time, came back. And then I went to Australia. I met a boy after Fiddler. We were in Europe, and I met a boy, and I went to Australia. And they were doing Grease in Australia. It was on Broadway, and I knew a couple of the guys who, were involved with that and producing. And they said, "Oh, you're going to Sydney? Go ahead and go up for Grease because they're casting it." I went, "Okay." When you're young, it's like, okay.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Things just
that blissful,
fall in your hands.
Yeah.
And so I did, and I got Sandy. And the director was Jonathan Banks, who's now starring in Better Call Saul. So,
Oh my
it's such
gosh.
and we had the same drama teacher from my first college. I went to a college in Southern Virginia and then switched to George Washington. And my beloved teacher there taught English and Shakespeare, moved to Indiana University, and Jonathan got him there. So there we were sitting having coffee in a milk bar, they call them. They're little cafes in Melbourne. We opened Grease in Melbourne, and found out that we had, there we were 2,000 miles away, and we'd had the same drama professor. It was.
That is something.
It is, yeah. I love serendipity.
Yeah, me too.
I love it because you feel like you're doing something right.
Right.
When that happens.
Yeah, and it's always, it's just always this really cool surprise. And it makes me think too, I've been thinking, I was talking to somebody about this the other day, but like I remember when I first kind of got interested in theater in college, but when I first started talking about, I'd love to continue pursuing this, and you can tend to hear from people, if you want to be a theater person, if you want to be an actor, you have to do you must follow. But I've just found that there are as many paths as there are people. I mean,
Exactly.
People go. There's people doing theater all over this country. There's there's people in New York that do well. It's just
there's people in D.C. who do it.
Yeah.
Chicago, San Francisco.
Yeah.
Well, L.A. of course.
Yeah.
They even have theater in L.A. They really do.
Nice.
I
Now,
can attest to it.
How long were you in L.A.?
13 years.
And what brought you out there?
I'd been doing a little night music there, at the Dorothy Chandler. And an agent came and saw it, and he said, "Would you like to go up for Mary Tyler Moore?" And I went, "Oh, sure." My first meeting with him, I dressed all up and I had a little hat on with flowers and everything on. It's cute. And I got home and I saw the tag hanging from it. He sent me anyway, and I got it. So I was doing the show at night and Mary during the day. But it was incredible. They were a beautiful group of people.
Oh gosh, that had because that had Ed Asner.
Yes, Ed Asner, Ted Knight, and
Betty
Betty White.
And then who played his wife? Who was that actress who had the really
Georgia?
Anyway, she.
I know. I don't remember names anymore. They're not there. But Mary was cool. She was so sweet. Because sometimes when you guest on a show, the stars are kind of reticent to, because they know you're going to leave in a week, right? But we were sitting at a table reading, and Mary said, "So you're in a show. What do you do? When you're in another city?" And she was just very open like that. Ted Knight showed me how to find my first mark.
Is that right?
Yeah, where I played a prostitute in prison, and Mary was sent to jail for not revealing a news source. And Ted watched, and he said, "Now, remember the light is here, and the bars of the cell are here. So if you move just this much, the shadow will be on you." So it's those little things, if people help you along that stick in the head centuries later.
Yeah. That's so cool. Yeah, I love that show. I mean, I just had such great actors on it. It's funny. I was just going to mention quickly the Mary Tyler Moore. I remember I loved her on Mary Tyler Moore, and then I saw her in Ordinary People, and I was just completely blown away.
Totally different.
And I saw an interview with Robert Redford where he was talking about how somebody said, "Well, how did you come to cast Mary Tyler Moore?" And he said he was standing out on the balcony of wherever he lived in L.A. or wherever, and he saw this woman walking up the sidewalk coming towards him, and she kind of had this head wrap on and a coat, and he said she just had this very kind of cloaked, kind of private kind of feeling about her, and he didn't know who she was, and she got closer and closer, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, that's Mary Tyler Moore," and then he said, "She's Ordinary People."
That's exactly what.
Anyway, I love that story.
That's lovely. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
She was neat. All those people were very kind. And then I got into the MTM group and did Lou Grant and Bob Newhart show.
So now, what was Bob Newhart like to work with?
He's so shy.
Is that right?
Perfect to work with, right? But then the moment that we finished the scene, he'd go into his dressing room, and that was it. So I never got to actually know him. But
Darn.
also, good group to work with.
Well, yeah, I feel like I learned from, like when I watched him when I was younger, I just thought he was just like, oh, he's just the husband or what. I mean, he's just, and there he was surrounded by all these outrageous characters. But watching it older, I'm like, oh my gosh, he was so funny. I mean, he's playing the straight man, but
yeah.
just that deadpan delivery, and it was so funny.
It's a technique and it's an art in itself.
Yeah, yeah.
Now wait, let's go back. What made you decide to go into theater? What was it that sparked you?
Yeah, it was. I mean, initially, it was kind of a similar thing. I mean, I'm very introverted, and initially I was drawn to acting, and I think it was just that feeling of, I'd feel like during my normal course of the day, I just had all this kind of stuff inside that was really frustrating because it was all clamped down, and I was just petrified of, speaking or expressing myself or whatever, and that acting just gave me a chance to
blow
let
it
that
out.
stuff out. Like I liked large characters. I loved when I started. I loved playing large characters just because it, and I love playing angry characters. I don't know. So I think there was this initial draw just to. I felt like I was more myself when I was doing that than I was around the rest of it.
I still feel like that.
Yeah.
I still feel like no matter what kind of character I'm playing, it's still, that's when I feel the most alive, I think, is when I'm on stage.
Yeah.
You?
Yeah. I mean, there's those moments where, I do feel like when you're watching a live performance, there's those kind of universal moments where the audience and the actors are all experiencing something collectively together, and I think those are just they're priceless experiences.
Yeah, priceless. It's magic.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Is that so? And when you're on stage, is there kind of a moment that you feel like? Are there moments that happen where whether it's in rehearsal or performance, where you just feel like, oh my God, this is why I still do it and I still love it?
Yeah, actually, in Cabaret, the character had such an incredible arc because, there's a lot of humor in the beginning, there's a sweet little love affair, and then there's tragedy at the end. But the two songs that I had, the two solos, were, I kept thinking, this is sort of like a Shakespeare soliloquy, because it talked about what was going on, and it told you so much about the character, and what she was living through. And so the first song I had especially I felt sometimes, even though you have to watch every step, every note, am I good? It's been 20 years since I'd sung, so I had to be really careful about what I was putting out there. But that song was such a support, the way it was written, both the music and the words, the lyrics. It was just, was incredible. I loved it. I just loved it. Yeah. And I don't know, how it came across, but it was a supreme moment.
Yeah.
The first song and the last song, I just loved. And they used everything that I have as a person, both of them together. So when you feel that kind of expansion, in your spirit, it's like the universe is just blowing through you. Do you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I totally know what I'm saying. I know what
saying.
you're talking about. I
Like,
totally.
The universe has my back.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Go.
And it does it to you. Like to me, there's those times too. They feel timeless in a way. Like they feel like there's just this suspended moment where it's just you're just kind of in this timeless place for just an instant.
I didn't feel a broken foot, the last 10 shows.
Yeah.
Until I walked off stage.
That's it.
Ice.
No, so were you? So once you got on stage, because you said you broke your foot coming into the theater, or you didn't realize that you broke your foot.
It wasn't my fault.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, I know. No. Well, yeah, actually, tell us the share. No, you don't have to.
How I hurt my foot. No, I was going in the back door and I had little slippers on, and somebody boomed out. You know, the kids are full of energy,
Right.
so they don't just open a door; they open
Right,
it.
right. Go on.
Yeah. I went, oh, and I didn't really know how bad it was until the next day. Yeah. But you know, you go on stage and something else takes over. And I don't know, there were only a couple times when I was dancing
Where it was.
where it, was just a moment of eek.
Yeah.
And so I just grabbed Ken Bordner, who was my partner. He's like, can you help me down the step now? Thank you so much.
Oh,
Yeah. I know. But it's funny. I remember even in high school, I cut a hand. I was supposed to be slashing a canvas. It was very dramatic. I cut my hand and it was bleeding, and I didn't even know till I got off.
Yeah.
I'm sure every actor has gone through something like this.
Yeah.
But there is that suspension from this reality. Right. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
It is.
It's very cool.
I know. It is. Yeah. It's hard to describe, but when it happens, it's just it's just great.
And the people you work with are so important. It's because you start. You go in and have your character in mind, and then you start playing together, and you go, oh, let me work with this energy, and they start working with yours, and you're playing off each other. And it's so important for an actor to listen, and we forget, I think, often. Yeah. But when you do this, the magic happens again. Yeah. And I love it when that happens.
I know, me too.
I'm addicted.
I know.
Yeah,
when that just makes me think of talking about how much it's really cool to hear that just those experiences you love about the theater. You were in theater working for a long time. You moved to Santa Fe. You were kind of away from theater for 20 years, right? So tell me about that. What brought you? What kind of brought you away from theater, and what brought you back?
Oh well, I didn't know that there were companies here, or that there were, theaters.
And what brought you to Santa Fe?
It was a mistake. We were looking for land in Colorado, and we stopped here. My husband, Lynn, is an artist and a photographer, and somebody said, oh, you've got to go look at the galleries in Santa Fe. So we went, okay.
We're back. I thought I had my phone on Do Not Disturb, but anyway, continuing on.
And all of a sudden somebody said, oh yes, I have just the house for you, blah, 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 blah. So that's another story. So we moved here, and we were here for 7 months, and then the spiritual group we'd been studying with in LA was starting a program in Oregon, and we went up there for 3 years. And came back, and we were pretty reclusive for all that time. We came, in 91, we came back. Right. And then I met Elena Zachary. Yeah. And she said, auditions, Midsummer Night's Dream. And I went, okay, that could be fine.
Wow.
I'm a real nerdy innocent about beginning theater things and film things. Still a kid about it. And I got it, and had so much fun, and that's when I began to meet the theater community, and these wonderful people. I mean, people I still love. Hey guys, that's so supportive, so warm, so loving, and it was like a whole new world opened to me.
That is cool, and it's like you said, it's another one of those. Serendipitous, like you wonder, well, what if, I just love that stuff.
I do too. Yeah. Well, that's the Tao, I think.
Yes.
That's when you're flowing with it.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, and this has been so delightful.
Yeah, for me too.
Yeah, thanks for this conversation, and thanks for your questions too. I really appreciate the time.
Me too.
And I want to thank you all very much for joining us. We are going to take a little break next week. We start rehearsals for Ironweed's production of The Crucible. So we're going to start rehearsals next week. That opens October 26th at El Museo. But we will be back the following week. So to hear who that we will be having a conversation with and when that will be, please like us and follow us on Facebook. I want to thank you, Ann, again very much.
Thank you, Scott. That was fun.
That was fun for me, too.
Good.
And I want to thank you all very much for joining us. Until next time, good night.